everyone. So this video is a must watch video for all the students who think that company law paper, this is not at all scoring. Remember that there is only one key to score good marks in your paper is by attempting the complete 100-mark paper. So I am repeating again, if you are not attempting complete 100-mark paper, then there are very less chances that you could score good marks in your company law paper. So now, today I just want to tell you that how you should write answers in your exam. So are you excited for this session? Let's move ahead. So now, if we look at the question paper of the institute, then we will always observe that there are 5 types of questions which are usually seen in the paper. One is a direct question, the other one is comment on the following, third one is differentiate between, then a case study type of a question, and then sometime we get a question on drafting. Now, let's move ahead and discuss each and every pattern in detail. Now, if I talk about the first pattern, which is a direct question, then how the direct question looks like. So, have a look on the paper. When you will find a direct question in your exam paper, then you will see that it is somewhat they are asking you directly any definition or any provision. So, there is a sample. If you see a question which is written like who is a related party as defined under section 2 subsection 76, then how you are going to write this answer in your exam. Now, the first and foremost important thing is that answers should be written in points. Avoid writing answers in paragraph. Always prefer to write answers in points. The second important point that you should remember is, since this is a direct question and 101% this question is going to be very simple, and you will be finding that every student will be writing this answer, then how my answer could be better from others? So for that, what you could do, you could underline the keywords. So I have not underlined the keywords just to tell you that whenever you would be reading each and every point, you can underline that important keyword which according to you is the most important one. Like if I am reading the first point, a director or relative, then you can underline director, relative. It clearly defines that what you want to tell in the first point. So, a director or their relatives, they are considered as related party. So, in the same manner, you can underline the keywords in each and every point just to differentiate your answer from others. Again, one more important point which you should remember while writing answers in exam is that do not create point on your own. That is, मन से कोई भी point नहीं बनाना है. Do not write any unnecessary point. This is going to decrease your marks in place of increasing the one. So remember, I am repeating again what you should do while writing a direct answer in exam. First, answer should be written in points, and second, do not create or do not write unnecessary point in the exam, because since everyone would be attempting the question, so everyone would be writing the answer and the answer is going to be same in all the copies. Third important thing, to differentiate your answer from other students, highlight the points, underline the keywords in each and every point. So in this manner you can write a direct question in your paper. Now moving to the next format, if we talk about, then the next format is about comment on the following. So this is going to be the complicated version when a question asks you that comment on any given statement. At first, how you will identify that it is a comment type of a question. Then to identify a comment type of a question, you could see that a question would be given to you, and that is a statement would be written not in a question format, and then at the end or at the beginning you will find this word comment or discuss. Discuss the following or comment on the following. So by that you could easily recognize that this question is about commenting, that is to comment on a particular question or to discuss the particular question. So now how you are going to answer this type of a question? This is somewhat a complicated type of a question, and these questions are usually seen in the paper in large number. Now at first, your first priority is to identify whether the statement is true or false. Now usually what mistakes students do, students usually feel like that whenever a statement is being given by a questionnaire, then more or less the statement is true. But this is not the situation, my friends. The statement could be a true statement or it could be a false statement. So your first and foremost priority is to identify that whether the statement is true or false. Now the second important thing, avoid using true false, avoid using yes, no, correct, incorrect, positive statement, negative statement, and so on. These words are not to be used in the answer. So I am repeating again, I told you first thing, identify that whether the statement is true or false, and the second important thing, do not write true, false, yes, no, correct, incorrect into the answer key. Now, so फिर how I am going to write my answer? This must be a question in your mind. Now, what you are going to do in the comment type of a question, after identifying that the statement is true or false, the next step is to identify that this statement falls under which topic or under which section, which act is applicable, and so on. So try to identify the provision or the topic or the section, whatever you could identify. And now just simply start writing answer as if you are giving an answer just like a direct question. That is, explain the entire topic just like a direct question, and then repeat the corrected statement at the end. I am repeating again, no true false are to be used neither at the beginning, neither at the end. At the end, the corrected statement has to be repeated. So if the statement is true, then you will be repeating the same question line at the end, and if the statement is a false, then you will rectify the statement. Now let me explain you through an example. So if you could read this question says, a holder of Global Depository Receipt is a member of company. Now I am giving you just 5 seconds to identify that whether this statement is true, false, correct or incorrect. So your time starts now. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I think most of my friends must have guessed the correct answer. This statement is false. A holder of GDR is not a member of company. So you have completed your first task. Congratulations to you that you have identified that this statement is not true. Now what is your second step? You need to identify that this statement falls under which section or which provision is applicable. So this statement falls under section 41 of Companies Act 2013. So now you will be writing your answer. As per section 41, subsection 1 and subsection 2 of Companies Act, a person is a member of the company who is a subscriber to memorandum or whose name has been entered in ROM. So this is the main provision This is the main provision which states कि भाई if you want to become a member, then either you could be a subscriber or your name must be there in the ROM. But now when I am talking about GDR, a person who is a holder of GDR, he is neither the subscriber nor he is the holder of share. तो holder होता कौन है फिर यहाँ पे? And who is the subscriber? He is not the subscriber, he is not the holder. The shares are issued by company to the overseas depository banks, ODB. So they are the holder of shares and not the person who is holding the GDR. Now, but there is again another concept that if he converts his GDR into underlying equity shares, then he could become a member. So your answer would end as if holder of GDR is neither the subscriber to the memorandum nor a holder of shares. However, he may become a member if he converts GDR into underlying equity share. So this is the manner of writing an answer when a common type of a question is asked. Now, I am again showing you one more example which talks about a positive statement. Now let's read this question. Every shareholder of a company is known as member, while every member may not be known as shareholder. Now you have to comment or discuss on the following. So this statement is true or false? You have guessed it correct. This statement is true. When I am talking about every shareholder, then it is not necessary that every shareholder is a member, because I may be holding shares, but I may have not asked or I have not approached the company to change the name into the register of members. And if I talk about online trading, then it takes around 2 days to update the system. So this statement is absolutely a true statement. Now, how you are going to write the answer? You will be explaining that who is a member in relation to a company, the subscriber to the memorandum of company who shall be deemed to have agreed to become member of company and on its registration shall be entered as member in its ROM. Every other person who agrees in writing to become a member of company and whose name is entered in ROM of the company. Every person holding shares of the company and whose name is entered as beneficial owner in the records of a depository receipt. So this is the basic provision. So now why I have explained you this question. This question says that if you didn't remember the section number, don't worry about it. Like in the last question, I was remembering the section number, so I started my answer as per section 41, subsection 1 and subsection 2. But when I was not knowing the section number, I can directly start my answer in this manner. Member in relation to our company means and so and so. Alright, so do not panic if you do not remember the section number. Now, moving ahead. So now as per the definition, a person cannot be treated as member of company unless his name is entered in ROM of the company. So this is the basic conclusion from the provision that we have derived. The term member is different from that of shareholder. A shareholder can be shareholder by acquiring shares, but will not become a member till his name is entered in ROM of the company. This definition is relaxed in case of section 244, where even a shareholder is treated as member in case of a company limited by guarantee. Now this is the exception clause, and this was the conclusion which you want to share with your examiner. And this is somewhat an exception situation, that is, if the company is not having share capital, then the person who gives a guarantee is also treated as member. So this is somewhat extra which you are writing, although your answer is complete at this point itself. Now, I think you have understood both the types which we have discussed by the time, that is how to write a direct question and how to write a comment based question. Now, moving ahead to the third category, which talks about differentiate between. Now, what usually happens whenever we find a differentiate type of a question in the exam, then we start preparing a T table. We write one topic on the left side and then on the right side, and then we start comparing both, and we also create a column of bases. Now, what I want to tell you that in case of a differentiation, firstly, this is the most scoring question. You can score maximum marks in a differentiate between type of a question. Now, what usually you can make a mistake over here, that there are two types of format which we usually follow in a differentiate type of a question. One is a table format, a T format, and the other one is a statement format, where we start writing. Now, what happens if you see that the difference between the two terms is possible, like what I have tried to explain you through this diagram. There are two apples and they both are apples and they both are comparable also. One is complete red and the other one is slightly red and slightly orangish, there is a color. So you can differentiate between both types of apples because they have the same nature and tendency. Now, if I talk about a company law, you can see there is a question, differentiate between alteration of share capital and reduction of share capital. So this question is comparable. You can compare this. So in such type of a question, you can frame a T table because you will not get confused while writing the differences. So it is always preferred that such types of questions should be answered in a tabular, in a table format. But there is another type of a question which you could find in your exam is of such type of a question. Now look at the diagram, there is an apple and there is an orange. Now, do you think there is a comparison between these two fruits? They are not comparable to each other. Apple is somewhat some other type of a fruit and orange is having some other types of tendencies. They both are not comparable, but examiner has asked you this question. Now look at the question side. Differentiate between alteration of share capital and minority shareholder. There is no comparison between these two terms. Now if you will start preparing a T table, then you will get confused. You will not get appropriate points for writing this type of answer. So the best method is to write answer in a statement format. So you can follow the second option which I have given to you. In case of a differentiation question, either go with table format, but always choose a table format when there is a differentiation possible between the terms. But if there is no difference, they are not at all alike to each other, then go with a statement format. It will save your time, it will save your energy, and you will be able to concentrate on some other questions. Now, moving ahead to the next type of category, which is the most difficult one, that is type 4, that is a case study type of a question. Now, just breathe on and just relax and just concentrate what I am trying to tell you. Now, whenever you find a case study type of a question, then how you are going to attempt such question? Now, remember, it's a 3-step format which you should follow, a 3-step manner which you should always adopt while writing this type of a question. First, explain the provision. Then the second paragraph should be about fact, and then the third paragraph should be the conclusion. Alright, I am repeating again, provision, fact, and then conclusion. Now let's have a look on the question. There is a question which says, San Industries Private Limited Company has its paid up share capital of 40 lakhs and turnover of rupees 10 crore as per the last audited balance sheet. Examining the provision of the Companies Act 2013, decide whether the company will be treated as small company. This is one question. And there is one more question in your paper. What would be your answer in case the company is governed by any other special act? So they are asking you two questions. So they have given you a situation and then there are two questions on that situation. Now, how you are going to write answer? In this page, I have tried to explain you the provision. So this is the complete provision of small company, that what small company says. Alright, so you can read this page later on. Now I am moving to the next step, which talks about fact and conclusion. So I am taking you back to the previous slide where they were asking whether the company will be treated as small company. Now remember, paid up share capital is 40 lakh and turnover is 10 crore. As per the provision, paid up share capital limit is should not exceed 50 lakh and turnover should not exceed 2 crore rupee. Alright, but their turnover is 10 crore. Now moving to the solution part. In the given case, the paid up share capital. So this paragraph from in till prescribed, this paragraph is about the fact. So in the fact paragraph, the entire question is repeated again. Alright. So in the given case, the paid up share capital of San Industries Private Limited is 40 lakh and turnover is rupees 10 crore as per the last audited balance sheet. To be categorized as a small company, the paid up share capital should not exceed 50 lakh and turnover rupees 2 crore, or paid up share capital, should not exceed 5 crore and turnover rupees 20 crore, whichever is higher amount as prescribed. Now, so after considering the limitations, अगर हम ये दो पॉइंट देखें, if you look at these 2 points, then the company is falling under the first category, which is paid up share capital is less than is rupees 40 lakh, that is it is less than 50 lakh, but if I look at the turnover, then turnover is more. So the company is falling under the first situation and the paid up share capital is less than 50 lakh, but the turnover has exceeded the limit. So by applying the above provision in the given case, it can be concluded that San Industries Private Limited is not a small company. Now you could differentiate between a comment type of a question and a case study type of a question. In a case study type of a question, it is mandatory to conclude at the end that whether this is true or whether this is false. So they have clearly mentioned you that this company is not a small company. So this is the basic difference between a comment type of a question and a case study type of a question. Now, if you could see that this is the provision, this is the fact of the case, and from so till company, this is the conclusion. Always remember that you should start your conclusion at, that is your last line, that is by applying the above provision in the given case. Moving to the second part where they were asking about any special act. So again, from in till act, this is the fact, and finally by applying till them, this is the conclusion. So your answer is always divided into 3 paragraphs. One provision, then fact, and then the conclusion. Alright. So by this you could write an answer which is regarding the case law. Now moving to our last type, which is type 5, which talks about drafting. Now technically what I want to tell you, drafting के questions exam में नहीं आते हैं, but in case अगर exam में आ जाए then the maximum marks could be 10. Again, why I am explaining you this thing at the end, because in case अगर आपको exam में drafting का question मिल जाए, then प्लीज़ आई रिक्वेस्ट यू इस क्वेश्चन को सबसे लास्ट में ही अटेम्प्ट करना है, एज दिस इज़ द लीस्ट स्कोरिंग क्वेश्चन. दिस इज़ नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल कि जैसा एग्जामिनर कॉपी में आंसर दे रखा है एंड योर आंसर एग्जैक्टली मैचेस द सेम, सो इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट. सो इफ द क्वेश्चन इज ऑफ 5 mark, then maximum they would be giving you 2 or 3 mark. So do not fight for such marks. Try to attempt this type of question at the end. लेकिन again I am repeating, छोड़ के कुछ नहीं आना है. You have to attempt the 100 mark paper. तो छोड़ना नहीं है, because whatever you would be writing in your sheet, वो आपको 2 mark तो देंगे ही देंगे. So why should we avoid our marks? Now attempt this question at the end Now having a look over what type of question they could ask you to prepare an agenda, prepare a notice, draft a resolution which you want to pass. So for that I have given you one example. There is a question which could be asked in your exam, like draft a specimen notice of board meeting. So now how you will be writing this answer? So this is the basic format. Name of company, registered address, and email number, SIN's corporate identification number, telephone number of the company, website, and notice number. And since we are giving this board meeting notice to a board of directors, so name of director and the notice format, and then at the end signature of company secretary, because usually these documents are prepared by a CS. And in case company has appointed some other person for preparing such types of notices, then that person would be signing at the end. Now, I think now you have understood the pattern, the examination pattern which is usually followed in exam. I am repeating again, there are 5 types of questions which could be asked in the exam: a direct, a comment based, a differentiation, a case study, and a drafting. Direct question is the most scoring question, or I must say most common question which usually every student answer. Most scoring one is the differentiation between. Comment and case study based questions are more or like they are same to each other, just with a single difference. And then there could be some questions which could be in relation to drafting. Now, in case if you have any queries and if you are unable to understand any point, then you can directly contact me on my number, which is 7737690085. You can WhatsApp me also, and you can also join my Telegram app. So by this I think you have understood each and everything. In my next video lecture I would be showing you one sample paper copy, how the question paper looks like, so that you could correlate these 5 topics from that question paper. Thank you everyone. Thank you.